Windrose is a survival game that isn't all that different than a lot of games you have seen before. I mean that in a good way though. There's been a lot of survival games made at this point, and many of them recycle mechanics that just simply make a good game in the genre. If you're into the tree chopping, base building, exploring, points of interest, and a big sandbox type of survival game, this one will definitely have its hooks in you. Maybe you don't lean towards that type of game typically, but love pirate stuff. Then I would say stick around as well. Now this experience is solely from the demo, so it's not a review or anything. This is just me jabbering about how much I've been enjoying this game, and damn, I gotta say, it feels good to be a pirate, especially in a world where pirate games don't always hit. As someone with a lot of interest in tattoos, I had a field day making my character. Not the most in-depth choices, but in terms of tattoos I'd want on my pirate self, they did a damn good job with the options. Also just a lot of fun stuff that caters to a lot of different people's ideas of pirates. I'm gonna go over the beginning now. I wouldn't really consider this a spoiler section as it is right at the beginning, but if you want to experience the introduction for yourself, I'd skip ahead. So you start off on a ship that is being boarded by an enemy pirate, Blackbeard and his crew. You go through different mechanics such as the combat while getting to the top, just to show you how the basics work. Once you get to the top, you're actually killed by Blackbeard. This weird artifact thing seems to be the focal point of Blackbeard's attack, and your character has an interaction with it right before you die that seems to change something. I.e., you then wake up on the shore of an island, and so begins the grind. The game does have a quest system, which I actually have been really enjoying so far. Typically in a game like this, I'd say I don't want any direction, but there are some aspects to the gameplay that lead me to think this was the right choice. It would be hard to talk about this game without mentioning games like Valheim. There are a lot of parts of this game that remind me of Valheim, a game that I love, but there is one specific thing about it that is very different in my experience so far. In Valheim, it's not long at all before you are exposed to a new biome. With the introduction to the new biome, you learn pretty quickly that there is a steep difficulty spike and you have to grind in your current biome to get resources to be able to survive in the next one. In the Windrose demo, you only see one biome, so there's not a whole lot to compare there, but Windrose's grind seems to be more focused on the progression of quests, and the biome change is more long term. You can see here that there's actually a breakdown of the biome progression in your discovery menu, and shows you that there seems to be a boss you have to defeat before you progress to the next biome. I have done most of what is available to you in the demo, if not all of it, and I'm left wanting more. If you've played this, correct me if I'm wrong, but there is a town or towns you can get to in the game that aren't available in the demo. I have a ton of stuff I have found that's only purpose is to sell to a trader. I've completed all the available quests and completed all points of interest. The combination of quest system with this type of gameplay really makes the grinding worth it. As much as I love an open sandbox, there are of course those times where I hop on those games and just can't quite find a reason to grind or play at all.
All right. I thought I heard the old man say, leave her, Johnny, leave her. Tomorrow you will.
The quests often are milestones achieved by obtaining more resources through grinding and crafting. You certainly won't escape that part of the game, but there are a couple things that Windrose does that I really like with this. There's plant fiber you can obtain in pretty decent volume by just quickly chopping up bushes and large grass. This stuff is falling everywhere, as even swinging your sword in combat drops this stuff. It is the most basic type of resource, and you can use it for loads of stuff like basic types of structures and cloth for hotbar items like bandages. This makes simple stuff less of a headache and not quite feel as time consuming compared to a lot of these games where you want to do a couple simple things and you gotta spend 5 minutes chopping down trees. Of course there are moments like that in this game, based on exactly what you want or need to do, but I found them actually more rare than I expected. Another small thing is that your loot at your base is universal within the grounds of your bonfire. This means you can be at any crafting bench anywhere in your base and use any resource stored on your person or stored in your base without having to run all over and keep storing specific resources on your person. There's also no over encumberment, at least in the demo. I was pretty surprised by this decision, but I actually see why they may have done this. For instance, There's large mines you enter as their own location and tons of copper to mine. It takes 6 copper ore to make a copper ingot, so you spend a bit of time in these mines getting stacks and stacks of copper. It would be hard to balance a weight system with this in mind. This carries over to a lot of things in this game where I feel that everything comes off as big volume focused and quick systems. This does make moments in the game feel too easy. You can craft fast travel stations at any island. So in the demo, there are 3 islands, and I had a fast travel station at each one, allowing me to just ping pong between them for resources or get back to my body fairly quickly after dying. I am interested to see how the system ages as you progress in the game to new areas in the map. I will say you are conquering areas much quicker in this game and branching out than a lot of games in the genre. I can see long term how having something like this fast travel station will spare a lot of frustration when you've sailed for 5 minutes and die exploring a new island. Speaking of sailing, wow, you're a pirate in this game. And man, you get that ship and it feels fucking great.
Helm's yours, Captain.
Is for sure the highlight of the game. Obviously not the first game to do this, but it works well, and it's just some classic video game fun. Once you get used to the mechanics of being on the larger ship, you start to feel pretty badass. Blackbeard's crews roam the waters once you've destroyed the first ship via a quest. You can sail around and choose to take on those other ships or pass them off. Your crew members slyly whistle in the direction of other ships when spotted, as well as shores and random loot in the ocean. The way ship combat works is once you've got the other ship's health down enough, you can roll up next to it and board it. You then have to kill a certain amount of their crew members to claim the loot, and you watch their ship sink as you sail away with all your glory. I originally thought if you died in this process, you could sail back after repairing your ship at base and continue where you left off. That actually was only applicable in the quest to destroy your first ship. Once you're out and roaming, you no longer have that option. You gotta do the sail of shame to come back and claim your lost loot, but the enemy ship will have taken their victory and left. The combat system on land is okay. It's not groundbreaking, but it works. It has a Souls-like gist to it with parries and dodges. I'm not always the biggest fan of these types of combat systems personally, depending on the way the timing works, but it's pretty forgiving in this game. I got used to it, and I pretty early on found a sword that causes bleeding. I really like this as I could whimper away if I was doing bad, and a lot of times my enemies would have perished or been at a very low health when I came back. So far there's been a good amount of enemy types on theme: drowned cursed-like guys, big crabs, boars, other pirates, and how could I forget the dodo. I've thoroughly enjoyed my time in this demo and had many moments where I was shocked at how much they let you do in it. Like I said earlier, having done what is available to you in the demo, I'm left wanting more, and I'm excited to see where they go with this one. Have you tried this demo, or can you not stand another game that makes you chop down trees? I don't know what it is, but with a good theme and a need to chop down trees or pickaxe rocks, I'ma probably at least try the game, and this time I was certainly not disappointed. Jumping in the ship, sailing off while my crew belts, and setting my sights on the enemy ship gives me a feeling I don't get often enough. That's all this time. I'm Slowco. Peace.